Hello everybody, this is Ogre Boy, and I'm going to be doing my ranking for the MCU movies, all 22 of them, and everything. So I saw Avengers Endgame last night and everything, and decided I was going to go ahead and do my new ranking today. First, at number 22 is The Incredible Hulk from 2008. I don't really care for this movie very much. I think Edward Norton was a really terrible choice for the Hulk, and Bruce Banner. I know a lot of people love him and everything, but I just didn't like him. I like Mark Ruffalo a lot better and everything. Of course, he's had a lot more time as a character too, but I just didn't really care for Edward Norton. He's not one of my most favorite actors, but I don't hate him. I acknowledge he is a really good actor. I didn't think he would fit the part very well, and this movie is just really forgettable and everything. So yeah, that'd be my number 22. It's just not a great movie. My number 21 is 2016's Doctor Strange. This movie just, to me, it was really kind of just really slow paced and everything. I think that's the main reason I wasn't really crazy for it and everything. It had great visual effects, I do agree on that, and Benedict Cumberbatch was perfect as the character of Doctor Strange. He fit the role very well. I just felt that the movie was kind of too slow for me. Some origin stories are better than others, and I felt like this was one of the weaker origin stories, but it was an okay movie and everything. Don't get me wrong, I didn't hate it or anything, but and my number 20 is 2019's Captain Marvel. Um, I'm not a huge fan of this movie. I think it's good. I think it was kind of a generic movie and everything. It could have been a lot better than it was, but uh, like a generic origin story, but it was still pretty good. I think that Samuel Jackson was excellent as young Nick Fury, and the special effects they used to make him look younger was great. I thought there was some really cool makeup effects on the scrolls and stuff, so there were a lot of things I liked about it. I just don't think this was one of the MCU's best movies and everything. It was pretty much just a way to introduce the character before Infinity War, but you don't really even need to see this movie to and everything for Infinity War. It just kind of helps a little bit. But yeah, this is an alright movie. It's just not one of my very most favorites. But and up next at number 19 is 2018's Ant-Man and the Wasp. I actually like this movie quite a bit. When I rewatched it, when I saw it the first time in theaters, I was a little disappointed because I had my expectations way too high, I think. But rewatching it, I enjoyed it a whole lot more than I did. It was a great story, great movie and everything, and I really enjoyed it quite a bit. And it has an important impact on Avengers Endgame, but you don't really have to see this movie to understand Endgame. But yeah, this is a good movie. Paul Rudd was great as Ant-Man again, and the rest of the cast was wonderful too. And number 18 is 2011's Thor. I know a lot of people would probably have this a lot lower. I personally enjoy this movie quite a bit. I don't think it was perfect or anything, but I don't think it's the worst MCU movie like a lot of people I know have said. Um, well, actually, I don't know a lot that have said this is the very worst, but they say it's one of the worst. It's not one of the best, but it's not one of the worst to me either. I think it's just pretty good. Most of these movies all these movies after Captain Marvel, I really enjoy a lot and everything. So, um, yeah, Thor was pretty good. I didn't really care for Natalie Portman in the movie. She kind of ruined it for me, but Loki stole every scene he was in and everything. He's become one of my favorite characters in the MCU. So I thought that was really cool. And number 17 is 2017 Spiderman Homecoming. Um, this movie is really good. It does have some continuity errors, and that's one of the reasons why it kind of is down a little bit for me. I didn't really realize how many continuity errors it had until I rewatched the whole MCU in a big binge watching fest back in February. But uh, it's still a really good movie. Tom Holland is excellent as Spider-Man, and everything. He fits the role perfectly in this franchise and everything. And Michael Keaton was awesome as the Vulture, and I like how they kind of made him like an everyday person that's trying to get by and everything. I thought that was kind of cool. And uh, yeah, this was a really good movie. It wasn't as good as I had hoped for an MCU Spider-Man movie to be, but it wasn't terrible and everything. And I enjoyed the cast in this. I know a lot of people that got annoyed by the teenage cast, but they didn't really bother me either. I like how it kind of had a John Hughes and feel to it as well. So yeah, Spider-Man Homecoming is number 17. And number 16 is 2013's Thor: The Dark World. Um, I was not a huge fan of this movie, but I do like it a lot more than most people do. I do get a lot of the criticisms that it gets, like Malekith is a terrible villain, he really is. Natalie Portman's really bland in this, she pretty much phones in her performance. Um, and everything. Darcy was kind of unneeded. She wasn't really needed in either one of these movies. She was just there for comic relief and everything. I don't think Darcy's as annoying as some people do, but I get why that people would get annoyed by her, though. But this movie has some really great interactions with Loki and Thor. That's one of the main reasons I love this movie as much as I do and everything. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this movie. But I know a lot of people don't. I've never really met anybody that's been a huge fan of it, but I enjoyed it more than the first movie. But I'm probably one of the very few that did. And so that's number 16. And my number 15 is 2015's Ant-Man. This movie I was not very excited for. I didn't know much about the character. I knew the movie had been in the works for years because I remember hearing about it. I think when the first Iron Man movie was out, that they were working on an Ant-Man movie. But I didn't know what to expect. I kind of thought it was going to suck, but I ended up loving it a lot. I didn't expect Paul Rudd to be a very good choice to play Ant-Man because of his being known for comedic stuff, and this was before the MCU took the more lighthearted comedic turn that it took. But I thought he was perfect in the role, and I'm not a fan of Michael Douglas. That's another reason I wasn't really excited for this movie, but he was great as Hank Pym and everything. And Evangeline Lilly was great in this as Hope Van Dyne. But yeah, this was a really good movie. It does have a slow start and everything, but all in all, it's still really enjoyable, and it's my number 15. And number 14 is 2011's Captain America: The First Avenger. Um, when I first heard about Chris Evans playing the character, I was mad. I was like, he's gonna totally run it. Cause I'm not I wasn't really a fan of him. I still really haven't seen a lot of his stuff, so I don't know if I would say I'm a fan now. But back then, I really didn't like him because of I didn't like him in the Fantastic Four movies. He got on my nerves bad, and I thought he was really ridiculous, over the top, and not another teen movie, which now I find more amusing than I did back then. But this was just one that I wasn't that excited for. I ended up liking it a lot more than I expected to, and everything, because I was a fan of Captain America. I didn't read a lot of the comics growing up, but I had read some of the comic books and stuff, so I did like Captain America. I didn't think he was going to be a good casting, and I'm glad that they casted him, because I can't picture anybody else as a character now. But yeah, Captain America, the first Avenger, is number 14, and my number 13 is 2010's Iron Man 2. Now this movie gets a lot of hate, and I guess I can understand. It does have a lot of slow parts, and Whiplash isn't a very great villain. They watered him down a lot and everything, and kind of wasted him, but I still enjoy this movie quite a bit. The interactions with Rhodey and Iron Man are great. I think Don Cheadle was a great replacement for Terrence Howard, and personally I think he fits the role better and everything, and the chemistry between him and Robert Downey Jr. is a lot better. And I like how he's kind of like drunk and stuff throughout this movie. He's fighting his alcohol problems, and I think the reason why a lot of people don't like this is there's so many plot lines going on at one time. It's hard to juggle them. It was before the MCU got really good at juggling their plot lines, but I still enjoyed it. I like that we see a little bit more of Nick Fury in this, and we get introduced to Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, which was awesome, and she was really cool in this movie. But yeah, so Iron Man 2 is my number 13, and number 12 is 2017's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, this movie was a lot higher when it very first came out. I really, really love this movie, but after giving it a few rewatches, there are things about it that I like and don't like. I don't like that some of the humor is a little bit jacked up and everything. Drax being mean to Mantis, telling her how ugly she is and how being emotionally abusive to her, but she doesn't realize it. I think that's not really right, and everything. It was made for laughs, but I didn't think it was really all that funny. I thought it was more jacked up than funny, and like them torturing Baby Groot was really not that cool either. I mean, he was just a poor little baby and everything. But yeah, so Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is number 12, and my number 11 is 2014's Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This was a really good film. One of my favorite ones with Black Widow. I think it's one of Scarlett Johansson's best performances as Black Widow, and it's probably one of my favorites of Chris Evans as Captain America. I love the way it's like a spy thriller, conspiracy thriller, and stuff like that. And throw back to movies like that. And Robert Redford was good as the villain in this, and Samuel Jackson was great in this, like he always is. But yeah, this isn't an extremely wonderful movie. Like, I don't think it's one of the very, very best, like everybody says, but it is a really good movie. I don't think it's at the level of being in the top spot. Like, I know a lot of people say that this is the best MCU movie, but I personally don't believe that. But I do still love this movie and think it was a great movie, and I think Joe and Anthony Russo did a really great job directing this movie and everything, and the twist with Bucky being the Winter Soldier really shocked me and everything, so I thought that was really cool too. And so that's my number 11, My number 10 is 2013's Iron Man 3, directed by Shane Black. When this movie first came out, I really didn't care for it very much. I hated the Mandarin twist and everything. But as I've rewatched this movie a few times, it's really grown on me, and I like it a lot more now than I did when it first came out. And everything, and the Mandarin twists don't really bother me quite as bad as it used to, and everything. I kind of like how this movie kind of reminded me of The Incredibles, with the Mandarin being somebody that idolized Tony Stark and everything and wanted to be like him, and then Tony had turned him away and everything. I thought that was kind of cool and everything. But yeah, Iron Man 3 is number 10. And number 9 is 2017's Thor Ragnarok. This movie is just a blast from beginning to end. I love all the new characters introduced. We get to see more of Loki and Thor's interactions. That's great, and everything. I just love this movie. It's absolutely wonderful and hilarious. The Hulk story is pretty good and everything, and just a lot of fun to watch. And so Thor Ragnarok is number 9, and my number 8 is 2015's Avengers Age of Ultron. This used to be my number 1 favorite MCU movie when it first came out. I really loved this movie, and then rewatching it a few times, it's gone down quite a bit. And everything. I get a lot of the criticisms this movie gets, like the romance between Natasha and Bruce, it goes nowhere and everything. It's pretty much been mostly ignored in movies since then. They do kind of have little references to it, but it just didn't really make a whole lot of sense and everything. And it didn't really need to be in there and everything. I think Ultron was a pretty cool villain. I just don't think he got enough screen time and enough time to become as threatening as they made him out to be and everything. But it was pretty cool getting to be introduced to Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and everything, although I think their accents were absolutely terrible and everything. But the characters were cool, and besides their terrible accents, the acting was pretty good on both of them and everything. But yeah, so I'd give Avengers Age of Ultron, I put it at number 8 and everything. And my number 7 is the Oscar-winning 2018 movie Black Panther. I enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I thought that it was a lot better than I really had expected, because I went into this movie not really knowing anything about the character, hardly, except for the little bit from Civil War and everything. I didn't really know what to expect with this movie, but I ended up really loving it and everything. And I like how it kind of felt like like Lion King a little bit, but type story. But it is still a lot of fun and everything. I don't think it was as bad as some people say it is, because I know it has its haters. Some of them are racist people, and some of them just think it's overrated because of how much love it's gotten and everything. I don't think it's really that overrated. I really enjoyed it, and I think Killmonger is easily one of the MCU's best villains, and Michael B. Jordan is excellent at playing him as well. So Black Panther is number 7, and number 6 is the one that started it all, Iron Man from 2008. Without this movie, we wouldn't even have the MCU and everything. when I heard that Robert Downey Jr. was playing him, I didn't really know what to think because I didn't really know much about Robert Downey Jr. except I had been told that he was really bad into drugs and stuff and everything. I wasn't really introduced. And this was kind of my introduction to Robert Downey Jr. as an actor too, because I hadn't really seen hardly any of his movies and stuff when this movie came out, and he's become one of my favorite actors since then and everything. Outside of the MCU, I love him in a lot of stuff, and I don't think anybody else could have played him as perfect as Robert Downey Jr. has and everything. I think it's awesome that Jon Favreau fought to get him the role, because the studio didn't want to take a risk of having him as Iron Man, but I'm glad they did. They decided to take the risk, and it paid off very well. So, been 11 years, and this movie is still in the top 10, and until recently it was in my top 5. But yeah, definitely excellent movie and everything. So, 2008's Iron Man is number 6, and number 5 is 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy. Now this movie, I went in not knowing what to expect. I knew nothing about these characters. I had never heard of them or anything, and everyone was like, I know a lot of people were like, why are they making this movie? Nobody knows who these characters are, and they're some of the best characters in the MCU. This movie is blast from the minute it starts till it ends and everything. It's one of the best MCU movies and everything. It has pretty good special effects. There is some kind of bad CGI, but for the most part the special effects aren't terrible in it, and it's just a really good movie. It has a lot of heart and everything, and still holds up after almost 5 years since it first came out and everything. It's an excellent movie, and I'd give so I'd have to say it's number 5 on here. And my number 4 is 2012's The Avengers. This was the very first big crossover in the MCU. This is the one that really could have ended the MCU. If the movie had not done well or would have sucked, I don't think we would be where we are now, where we have 22 movies in this franchise and everything. This is a great movie, and it still holds up as one of the best. Every time I rewatch it, getting to see all these characters interact for the first time still feels epic and everything, and it's awesome and everything. I unfortunately didn't get to see this one in theaters. I really regret not getting to, but this is a great movie and everything. My love for Marvel hadn't fully hit yet until after I saw this movie. My love for Marvel really started getting big after this movie came out. But I'd give it, so I'd say this one is number 4, and my number 3 is 2016's Captain America Civil War, which is the one I've probably rewatched the most out of all of these movies. It's just excellent movie. Every time I watch it, I like it a little bit better. There's usually some things that I didn't notice that I notice each time I watch it as well, and everything. I just love how they really brought all these characters together, made them turn against each other and everything, but you can understand everybody's side and everything, and it's just really well written and everything, and it's just a totally good movie, and still one of the MCU's very best. I definitely can say that. And so Captain America Civil War is number 3, and number 2 is 2018's Avengers Infinity War. This last time I did this list, it was my number one and everything. I didn't expect it. I didn't know whether to expect it would drop or not, but I'll talk more about that in a minute. But Infinity War was an excellent movie. I love how they have so many characters from all these franchises, and each of them get their own time to shine and everything. I love that about this movie and everything. I think the cast is great, and everything as always, and there's just had a lot of emotional moments, but it was also hilarious and action-packed. They did a great job blending everything together, and it's definitely one of the best MCU movies. And number one is the newest movie on this list, 2019's Avengers Endgame. This movie serves as a finale for a lot of these characters and everything, and it's a fitting ending to this phase of the MCU. I think we will see some of them again. I mean, some of the original Avengers again eventually, maybe. But I also think that a lot of them are going to be pretty much done for right now. And it packs a lot of emotions, or a lot of emotional scenes in this movie. The humor in this isn't as strong as Infinity War. There's not as much humor in this as there was in Infinity War, but I think that really fits very well with this movie and everything. This is just a really, really great movie, and it's the best movie of 2017 so far, and easily my favorite movie in the MCU and everything. So yeah, number one is definitely Avengers Endgame. So to give you a recap of my ranking, number one is Avengers Endgame, 2 Avengers Infinity War, 3 Captain America Civil War, 4 The Avengers, 5 Guardians of the Galaxy, 6 Iron Man, 7 Black Panther, 8 Avengers Age of Ultron, 9 Thor Ragnarok, 10 Iron Man 3, 11 Captain America the Winter Soldier, 12 Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, 13 Iron Man 2, 14 Captain America the First Avenger, 15 Ant-Man, 16 Thor the Dark World, 17 Spiderman Homecoming, 18 Thor, 19 Ant-Man and the Wasp, 20 Captain Marvel, 21 Doctor Strange, and 22 The Incredible Hulk. These are all really great movies and everything, and for the most part, with the exception of The Incredible Hulk, I think all of them are really good movies and everything. Even though I'm not huge on Doctor Strange, I still think it's a good movie. Just not one of my very most favorites, but anyway, it's a great movie series and everything, and I can't wait to see what they do next with the MCU, because I know there's going to be a lot of big changes coming up. Can't wait to see what they do next and everything. So, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed this ranking. If there's any other movie series rankings, or if there's any reviews or top 10 lists or anything you want me to do, let me know in the comments and I'll get to them as quick as I can. Also, if you don't want to comment on YouTube, you can follow me on Facebook at Overboy1992 and let me know on there, or you can write me an email on overboy1992@gmail.com and tell me on there, and I'll do the videos as quick as I can. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.